Welcome back to the British Teen Championships preview series. As always, I'm Jason. Joining me once again is a fantastic athlete, but this time we have Ed Cook. Ed, how are you?
I'm doing great, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. We've both done a workout today, yet you look a lot more fresh and energized than I tend to look after what I would deem a workout. And that's probably because, we're going to find out why that is. We're going to find out the kind of athlete you are now, aren't we? But Ed, before we go any
Definitely.
further, I have to ask the question, how old are you? What category do you fit into?
I am currently 17 years old and I'm on my way out of the 16-17 category. So this is my last year in the 16-17 category. And I will be aging out in October later this year, which sucks, but on to the male individuals.
It's funny because I feel like I was speaking to them the other day and they were really kind of excited about each time they go into the next category. But I do think that there's, I don't want to say a cap, but when you're moving from like one teen division to the next teen division, there is a bit of excitement, right? Because it's like, oh, bigger weights.
Definitely.
Oh, a few
Yeah.
more people to go against. But when you age out of the teen division completely, then you're like, oh no, this is my competition. Like this
Yeah,
is
it's a whole different thing. I talk to a lot of people about it and they're quite amazed that you go straight from 16-17 up into the adult category, because you think at 16 to 17 you've not reached any form of maturity, and then you age up and all of a sudden you're against the games athletes that you watch on TV and all idolize.
yeah. But I mean, we've seen some very young people putting up some
Oh,
very
definitely.
impressive performances. So you know, that could be you,
It's
right?
possible.
It is
Hopefully.
possible. Well, let's say it's not impossible. That's probably the right
Exactly.
way to look at it.
Exactly.
So I suppose I should ask then, how did you first find CrossFit? Where do you train?
So CrossFit, I originally was introduced to CrossFit by my mum. And she found it when we went on holiday to America, and she saw it on the TV because it was big over there at the time. And she came home and found the gym I currently train at, and she's been training at the whole time, Unit 22 Northampton.
Right.
And since in 2017, I started training to help improve my rugby, which I was playing at the time for Olney. And then later in that season, I suffered two concussions.
Right.
And that meant, in the name of trying to keep myself healthy, I made the decision to stop rugby and had to find something to fill the competitive or just some kind of void that you've lost when you've played a sport since I think I started when I was 6, and I played all the way up until 2018.
Wow.
Which was a large part of my life
Mm.
that I'd spend 2 times a week playing rugby,
Yeah.
if not more, as I got older. And then, so around 2018, I fully started doing just CrossFit. And at that time, it was just classes. It wasn't my own programming. It wasn't following bigger programming. It was just in a class.
It's interesting because quite often there's kind of, it seems like there's two routes when you've got a very deep sporting background. And quite often you'll hear somebody say, oh, I started doing CrossFit to supplement, what I was doing, or to make me slightly better at my main sport. But then I fell in love with CrossFit and that became my main sport. Or the other side, it tends to be like, I had an injury that was preventing me from competing in my sport to the degree I wanted to. And so I started doing CrossFit, which is always interesting because, CrossFit still kind of, for some people, has that sort of label as being, oh, it's a bit dangerous, or it's not safe, or they don't, it's all about reps for time, and they don't look after themselves. But the number of people are like, well, actually, I had to start doing CrossFit because it's safer than what I was doing before. It's quite incredible, isn't it?
Definitely.
Like when you're in the bubble,
Yeah, you find out the real side to it.
So what then took you from, I mean, I suppose you said it was kind of, you had that competitive itch that you needed to scratch anyway, but what was it then that got you from, I'm enjoying doing the classes? Because, for some people, the classes are almost enough of a kind of scratch to that competitive itch, because it's kind of like you're going against your previous time, but also there are, other people in the class. So you're kind of still getting to all do the same thing, and you did it faster. But what was it then, or when was it that you kind of thought, this isn't enough, and I really want to try and pursue this a little bit more aggressively on the competitive side?
I think one evening at the gym on one of the TVs, there was the regionals. This was back when they were a thing. And I saw that and I thought, what is that? And I asked my mum about it, and she explained that it's from the Open that you can then go and compete at a further and higher level. And I found out that there was such thing for teenagers as well. And at the time I was 15. So in the upper side of the 14, 15 category, starting a bit later than you ideally would want to. But I was like, I want to do this. So I believe it was midweek Wednesday, it was the day where I'd spend an extra hour after the class just doing the free comp train, because at the time you could, comp train just release their program for free. And I just took pieces from that and added that in after my class workout on a Wednesday.
Right. So I'm going to ask the question, but I have a feeling I know the answer. What was the first competition you actually managed to do then?
I was convinced by my mum to do the British Teen Championships as my first individual competition. And I signed up when it was released pretty much instantly. I saw it on my Instagram feed and I said to my mum, should I do this? She was like, yeah, gives you something to aim towards. And that was at the end of the year. And for me, that's what you're training towards at the end of the year.
What was your experience and going that, if you've never done a competition before, that was your first time going there. Did you have, before you answer that then, did you have like other people your age that were training with you? So kind of, were there other teens you knew, or was this sort of your first chance to get to throw down with people your own age?
Yeah, no, this was the first chance I get to see anyone my own age with regards to CrossFit. Even on Instagram, I hadn't found any others.
Oh, wow.
Any other athletes my age.
So what was that experience like for you then? Turning up there, getting to throw down with people your own age, and meeting other teens that had this same kind of passion that you did?
Yeah, it was super cool to meet other people that it's like, I'm not the only one. Because when you're in a class and I'm not really tall, but I'm not really small, I'm not looked at as being a 16-year-old or a 15-year-old at the time. So finally meeting other people my age and just talking to like-minded people meant that I met people there that I'm still in contact with now, nearly 3 years later.
So if there's any teens watching this that are like, oh, I've never been to a competition before, maybe this is a bit much for me for my first time, what would you say to them?
It's definitely not too much. I think you will turn up and surprise yourself with where you'll place. And at the end of the day, everybody's there for the same reason. The competitors may seem angry and scary, but they're all there thinking the exact same thing. They're all looking at you and thinking you're big and scary.
Yeah, they never think that about me, but I. So, have you signed up this year for the British Teen Championships?
Yes, I signed up, I think about a week and a half ago.
Just in time.
After, yes, just got in, but it was just working out dates between things I already have on. So it's a busy month in September for me.
And is that because you've got a lot of other competitions, other things that you're trying to do at the moment? What are some of your goals for this year?
For this year at the moment, I've only got two. I obviously had the Open and the AGOQ. And then for the rest of the year, I have the European Championships and the British Teen Championships. So only really 3 competitions, but I don't want to do too many, as to say, and not have enough training in between. And it just always be you're resting or recovering, then building up to a competition, because there's no time to then build.
Yeah, I mean, saying only 3, like 3 CrossFit competitions,
quite a lot.
It is a lot, isn't it? And that's what we saw when they sort of switched over from. I mean, you've mentioned regionals. You've used that word, so we'll take when it was sort of the Open, regionals, the games, and then when you had sanctionals throughout the year, and you would see certain athletes that were having to, because they were maybe chasing that game spot, that were just doing competition after competition after competition, and like the that takes. It's like, yeah, you might make it to the games, but you've not had any chance to kind of let your body recover from the constant beatings you've given it. So I think you're wise. I mean, yeah, for a young guy, you've got a real kind of serious approach to what you're doing. And I suppose that would lead on to maybe a question of kind of where do you see your CrossFit journey going? How all in on this are you?
I would say pretty all in. When I first started, I don't think I thought that it would be a end goal. I think for me, school was and still is a priority. But in the next 1 to 3 years, I would like to. This year, I qualified for the quarterfinals, but then in the next couple of years, I'd like to qualify for a semi-final and have a crack at that and see what that's like.
Yeah, and I mean you've got that foundation and you've got time. So I think we're all rooting for you. We want to see you there. I'm like I've been interviewing different teams, and I've just now got like a list of people that I'll be honest, I didn't know before. Why would I? But now I'm kind of really eager to see when I start seeing these names pop up in like other competitions in other places. So, and I think that's great. And I think that the other teams that and that you meet at these competitions can really kind of spur you on, and you're all kind of supporting one another, which is why something like this is really great. I assume
Sure.
you are aiming for one of those top 6 spots, and that we'll see you in person in Southampton.
I hope so. That is the aim.
That is the aim. I mean, do you want to declare it now? Are you aiming for a podium spot? Are you aiming to win your division?
Yes, I mean, of course everybody goes to the competition wants to be first. Nobody will say it. Everybody wants to be first. Otherwise, why would you turn up? Why wouldn't you turn up?
For fun, just for a bit of fun here.
It's always fun. Winning's fun.
Winning is fun. Oh, now we've got a quote for the episode, so that's great. I suppose final thing then, because I'm just building a little profile of like the different people I've spoken to, and it's very interesting to find out, and particularly with this question. So when you're not training for CrossFit, which I know you do, a lot, like twice a day today, you've told me. But what other hobbies or interests or things are you doing to occupy your time when you're not all in on CrossFit?
At the moment, I have got my AS level exams coming up in my A levels, so quite a lot of my time is filled with school. I'm studying for 3 A levels at the moment: biology, chemistry, and PE. So they fill quite a lot of the time. But apart from that, I don't do too much else. I like cooking. I like prepping food and cooking for my whole family. But other than that, it's sleeping and recovering.
Yeah. I mean, I'll take cooking. I'll take that as a good answer. I'm happy with that. I do like the idea that you've kind of decided this is the solution to making sure that I eat clean is I'll just cook for everyone and make the whole family eat well, and then we'll be okay. I do have one final question for you then, Ed, because you mentioned the way you got into CrossFit was through your mum. Does she still do CrossFit?
Yes.
Oh,
And it was brilliant. This may be completely off the topic, but there was a 24-hour charity kind of wadathon going on at one of the gyms that I'm friends with, and I got to do my first proper partner workout since COVID because you can't share equipment. We actually got to share equipment the other week, which is just brilliant.
Oh wow, 24 hours? Did you say? Oof.
I only did 3 of them.
You only did 3 of them, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, you've got to save yourself.
Sleep's too important.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure meeting you, Ed. All the best with the Europeans as well and the British Teen Championship. So you've got a lot of plates that you've got to keep spinning, but it seems like you've got a strategy, you've got a plan, and I really hope that pays off for you this year, and that we'll get to see you in Southampton, but also with your kind of bigger goals, and hopefully see you, if not at a semi-finals, why not the games themselves? That's what you're reaching for, right?
One day.
You got time. Don't worry about it. It'll be good to see you there. And thank you everyone for watching this. And hopefully you've been inspired to sign up if you haven't yet done so. Maybe it's going to be your first competition. Well, be like Ed, just to throw your hat in the ring. You have a good time. And who knows, even you may end up on the podium. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel to see some of the other athletes we'll be interviewing as part of the British Teen Championships preview series.